Well, hey guys, it's Adam, and I just want to welcome you here today. Also, just so you know, I miss you terribly. I really, really do. Each week, I feel it a little bit more, and I will never take for granted the ability to gather and worship together on Sundays. And yet, on days like today, I'm thankful for technology and an all-present God, and that we're able to still gather and worship. So I want to say welcome. I also want to say Happy Palm Sunday to you. Even as a kid who wanted nothing to do with Jesus, Palm Sunday was always one of the few Sundays I look forward to. We'd have palm branches, we'd wave them, we'd walk through the aisles of our sanctuary, and it just brings up awesome memories. At Embrace, typically we have donkeys at all of our campuses. The very first donkey that we ever had at Embrace, the farmer named Buddy, and so we've named every donkey since Buddy. And today, though, we only have one donkey. His name is Adam, and so unfortunately, there's only one, but I want to say Happy Palm Sunday to you. Again, we're overjoyed that you've decided to worship with us here today. Today, as we look forward to Easter, we're starting a brand new series called The Pursuit. It's called The Pursuit, and this name, this series this week, it brought up the memory of something that happened back in college for me, and hopefully this is a safe place to share my soul with all of you. Hopefully it's a place that I can share my sin. You see, as a sophomore in college, one night my friends and I, it was late at night, 10 o'clock or later, we got the random idea that we were going to drive down to Vermillion, South Dakota, and we were going to visit some friends there at the University of South Dakota. Just to say it, if you went to USD, I'm so sorry. What a dark, lonely, moist, God-forsaken place to be. You know, it's kind of like Iowa State, Mankato State. It's like, God, where are you? You know, and so if you went to USD, I'm so sorry. Actually, though, I'd love to hear where you went to college. And so if you would, if you're on YouTube, on Facebook, comment in the comment section. Let us know where you went to college, where you went to tech school, where you went to high school at. If you did go to USD, maybe reach out to a friend and have them tell you how to make a comment on Facebook. That can be confusing for some of us. And so do that, but seriously, so my sophomore year of college, one night we decided to go down to Vermillion, and this is pre-cell phone days, and so we get to Vermillion, we walk into the dorm there, and we start calling friends. We call friends and no one answers, and so we call more friends and no one answers. We're calling people that we basically don't even really know, and we're calling to see if they want to hang out, and nobody answers, and so we give up, we leave the dorm, and as we're leaving the dorm, one of my friends says, hey, that bike over there, I think I'm gonna take that bike. There was this bike laying against this tree. The chain had fallen off. It looked pretty rough, but my friend said, I think I'm gonna take that bike. Just to pause here for a second. Kids, it is not okay to steal anything, okay? Not okay to steal gum, not okay to steal a bike, so please don't do this. So my friend, he's like, I'm gonna steal this bike, and we're like, okay, take the bike. He takes the bike, we start walking towards our van. At that time, we're driving a 1984 Ford Econoline van that is shady as all get out. It's the shadiest looking thing. Here's a picture of me. I think this is on a trip. I was on Western Pennsylvania in this picture right here. So we walk to our van, and it's got a full-length couch in the back of it, by the way. It was awesome and ugly. So we walk to the van, and before we get to the van, my friend who's got the bike says, I don't think I just want to steal the bike. I think we should first run over it. Quick clarification, we are all sober, okay? So he's like, I kind of just want to run over it. I'm like, okay, that's nuts. So he gets in his van, and I was the one who wheeled the bike in front of the van. He's driving like 40 miles per hour. He hits the bike. It gets caught underneath the van. It's sparking. He thinks it's awesome, and so we put it out there a couple more times. He runs it over every time. There's sparks, and we're going crazy. He's out, got his arm out the window doing fist bumps, when all of a sudden one of my buddies is like, hey guys, have you noticed all of the cameras? And all of a sudden we look up, and there are security cameras all over the place. It's like USD is a prison or something. And so it's like, oh my gosh, they're following us. One of my buddies is terrified. He's like, we need to get out of here. So we jump in the van. My friend who took the bike wanted me to grab the bike, even though it was a twisted piece of metal. So I grab it, and I put it in the back of our van. There's two guys up front. All the rest are on this couch, and we start driving away. Again, my friend who's driving, he's like, guys, there's nothing to worry about. We're going to be fine. This is great. We're going to be totally okay. I'm going to put this bike on the front of my van as a grill guard. I'm like, what are we doing? And so we start driving away when all of a sudden I'm in the back of the van. And I said, hey guys, there's either a really bad car accident that we're headed in the same direction of, or we have 6 cop cars pursuing us right now. Like they're chasing us right now. I'll never forget these cop cars. They surround us like criminals, like we're criminals or something. They surround us. They tell us to put our hands in the air. One of my buddies starts praying. I'm like, we do need Jesus. Start praying. Something I'll never forget though. One of the officers who comes up to our van ended up being one of our DARE officers from middle school. I was like, God, you do answer prayer. Long story short, we walked away from all of it. Thank you, Jesus. Just to be clear, I've never stolen a bike since. I have had my own bike stolen a couple of times since. It's not cool. And so just to sum this story up, kids, don't steal bikes and please don't do drugs, okay? None of those things are good things. But again, today, though, we're starting this series called The Pursuit. It's called The Pursuit. You see, often when we talk about God, we mention the day that we decided to follow Jesus. Often when we talk about God, we'll talk about the time in our life that we decided to come back to Him. Or we'll talk about how it's so important that we pursue God with our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And while all of this is so important and it's so good, so often what we fail to talk about is about how God first pursues us. We talk about all these different wonderful things, but so often what we fail to acknowledge, what we fail to notice is about how God first pursues us. Before we wanted anything to do with Jesus, before we decided to follow Jesus, our whole lives, the entire time, before we were even born, our God, He was, and He is, and He will to continue to pursue us. Similar but very different to the cops pursuing my friends and I. Our God pursues us. And this is the pursuit. This is the pursuit. God's pursuit of us. And I would argue, regardless of where we are, whether we don't believe in Jesus or we've been following Him for 20 years, I would argue that when we begin to understand this, when we begin to understand God's pursuit of us, it will change everything about us. When we begin to understand the pursuit and God's pursuit of us, it will change everything. Well, at this time, if you have a Bible, I want to encourage you to open it up right now to the book of Mark chapter 2. If you have the Bible on your phone, if you have a physical Bible, open it up. Maybe download the Bible app if you don't have it on your phone. We're also going to share the Bible verses in the comment section there so you can check it out there. But open it up to Mark chapter 2, and leading up to our story for today, just to set the scene for us, Jesus has been teaching and He's been healing people. Most recently, He healed a man that was paralyzed in the city of Capernaum. He healed this man who was carried by 4 of his buddies on this mat. They brought him to Jesus, but the house that Jesus was at was so busy, it was so full that his buddies hit this man up on top of the roof, and they lowered him down in front of Jesus, and Jesus healed him. So this happened in the city of Capernaum. Then after this took place, Jesus left. He left the city there, and He went out to the Sea of Galilee. And when He got out to the Sea of Galilee, there was this huge crowd that showed up. A huge crowd had followed Him there. And so Jesus began to teach them different things. Well, after He finished teaching these people, Jesus decided to come back to the city of Capernaum on this specific road. And when He gets on this road, this brings us to our story for today. And starting in verse 14, here is what we find out. It says, as He, Jesus, walked along, He saw Levi sitting at his tax collector's booth. Jesus said to him, follow me, follow me. So Levi got up and followed Him. So again, Jesus is walking on this road back to the city, and he sees Levi, who's a tax collector, sitting at his tax collector booth there. He's sitting at his office along this road. Jesus meets him here, and Jesus invites him to come and follow him, which brings us to the first thing that I want us to hear today. We just said that God pursues us, right? We have a God who pursues us, but more specifically, get this, our God, he meets us at our tax booth. Again, Jesus, he pursues us. We have a God who's pursued us our entire lives, but to get specific, he meets us at our tax booth. He meets us at our tax booth. You see, at this time, tax collectors were Jewish people who worked with the foreign Roman government to tax other fellow Jewish people. Don't miss this. They worked with the other foreign government to tax their own people, in some cases to tax their very own families. But they wouldn't just work with the Roman government to tax their own people, but they would do so and they would overtax their own people. They would overtax them. Why? To make a buck. They would overtax, in some cases, their own family. Why? Because they wanted a little more money. Why? Because of wealth. They overtaxed. They screwed their own people over just to make a little more money. And as a result, these tax collectors, they were hated. They were hated. Something I read this week that I've never heard before said that when a Jew became a tax collector, they were no longer able to be a witness in court. Why? Because they were no longer trustworthy. They were shady. Also, they were excommunicated from their church. They were no longer welcome in the place of worship, no longer able to gather and worship God with other people. And the person themselves didn't disgrace themselves, but when they became a tax collector, they now disgraced their entire extended family as well. And this is Levi. This is Levi. And where is Levi at in our story? He's stationed on the road between the Sea of Galilee and the city of Capernaum. A perfect place, a busy road. It was the perfect place to overtax a bunch of people, a bunch of fishermen to get specific, who had caught their fish in the sea and were now traveling on this road to bring their catch to the marketplace to sell it. Where is Levi? He's at his tax collector's booth. Don't miss this. Levi's not just a tax collector. Instead, he's in the act of stealing other people's money. He's not just a tax collector, but he's in the act of screwing other people over. When who walks up to him? Jesus. Jesus. I just want to say this again in case we missed it. We have a God, we have a Jesus who meets us at our tax booth. He meets us at our tax booth. And today I just wonder what this looks like for you and I. I just wonder, where is your tax booth at? Where's your tax booth at? In all of its ugly glory. Where's your tax booth? I mean, maybe during this strange time that we're in, you find yourself consumed with worry. You love Jesus and yet you're paralyzed by fear. You show up to church on Sundays and yet you're thinking through every worst case scenario possible, and secretly you're even angry at God. That's your tax booth, and he meets you there. He meets you at your tax booth. Maybe it's bitterness. Bitterness and resentment are taking over your life. Someone's hurt you, someone's wronged you, and that hurt and pain has just festered inside you. And out of every part of who you are, your words, your attitude, your posts online, it's just like all of this ugliness just pours out of you. Even your loved ones no longer want to be around you anymore because you're just filled with so much ugliness. This is your tax booth. He meets you there. Maybe it's addiction, drinking, taking pills. It started really small. Maybe this is your tax booth. He meets you there. Maybe it's sex. You'll do anything to get the attention of a guy. You'll do anything to get the attention of a girl. Yet get this, as you're putting your clothes back on, as you're getting dressed again, he meets you at your tax booth. He meets you there. Maybe it's pride, maybe it's anger, maybe it's shopping, maybe it's gossip. You hear gossip and you just can't wait to share the juicy details with other people. That's your tax booth. He meets you there. Maybe like Levi, it's greed. And you'll treat people like objects just to make a little more money. You'll treat people like objects. You'll cut corners just to make a little more money at our crappiest places, at our lowest moments. Our God, he meets us there. He meets us at our tax booth. He meets me there, and he meets you there too. And when Jesus meets us in that place, what does he say? He says to us, I choose you. What does he say when he meets us at our tax booth? He says, I want you. What does he say? He says, I love you. What does he say? He says, come and follow me. I want you to follow me. Before the message today, we sang this new song, and the one line that I love, it says, he loves me where he finds me. This right here is the story of Levi. And so Jesus says this to Levi, right? This broken, messed up man. And once more, we're told that Levi got up and he left his booth and he followed Jesus. And where do they go to next? Where do they go to next? Well, listen to what we're told. It says, Jesus sat down to eat at Levi's house along with many tax collectors and other notable sinners. There were many people of this kind among Jesus's followers. Where did they go? Jesus went to Levi's house. He went to his home. You see, Jesus pursues us and he meets us at our tax booth. He meets us at our lowest places. But one step further, Jesus, he comes to our house. He comes to our house. He doesn't tell us that we need to come over to his house. He doesn't say, you need to meet me on my terms. You need to meet me on my turf. Instead, he enters into ours. He comes to our house. He enters into our lives. He enters into our world. He comes to our house. He comes to our house. It's kind of random to share, but for the last 4 or so months, there's been a random guy who's stopped by my house multiple times each week. Sometimes he stops by multiple times in a day, and this man, he struggles severely with mental health. He sees people who aren't there. Even as we're talking, he'll see someone who's not there, and so he struggles with mental health. He also struggles terribly with alcohol. Almost every single time he stops by my house, he's completely intoxicated. A couple of weeks ago, he literally puked over every square inch of my lawn, and it was fantastic. I think it needed to be fertilized anyways. And so he comes to my house, and when he does, he rings the doorbell, no kidding, maybe 10 times before we can get up to answer it. And every time I answer it, and I come out on the front porch, again, knowing that he's most likely intoxicated, I come out on the front porch and I do my best to care for him and just to listen to him and love him. Oftentimes you'll ask for food, and so I'll go inside and I'll make a meal and I'll bring that out to him. And every time he asks for me to pray for him, and so I'll pray for him. One time he prayed for me, and it was honestly one of the most powerful prayers that I've ever heard or had prayed over myself. And so he'll come to my front porch just to say it though. I've never gone to his house before. I've never gone to his place. And yet, this is exactly what Jesus does with us. He doesn't say, hey, if you want to, stop by my house, stop on my front porch. You can even do so several times a week, several times a day. Instead, Jesus comes to our house. He comes to our front porch. And he gently asks if he can enter. He gently asks if he can come inside of our place. I mean, Jesus doesn't just meet us on his terms. Instead, he meets us on ours. He wants to see everything. He wants to see our dirty laundry. He wants to see all the crap we have in that one junk drawer in our kitchen. He wants to see all the weird stuff. I'm not sure what weird stuff you have. He wants to see all the weird stuff that we have in the bottom of our closet. He also wants to see the good things. He wants to see the dreams that we have. He wants to see the desires of our heart. He wants to see every part of who we are. Again, he comes to our house. He comes to our house. He meets us there. He wants us to see everything. And this right here is Jesus. He pursues us. He meets us at our tax booth. He comes to our house. And he invites us to come and follow him. Awesome, right? Awesome. Well, today in this story, there's one more thing that I don't want us to miss. And it's so important, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to say it, but the best way I can do it is this. There is something so different about Jesus. Again, it's really subtle to see, and yet it's all throughout the story. And I just want to make sure that we don't miss this. There is something so different about Jesus. He's so different. Like he's so winsome and special in the fullest way, and he's truly amazing. He is awesome, and I don't know how to say it, but he's otherworldly. He's so different. And I think this is the part that we often miss in church. We hear this nice story, but Jesus is so different than we've maybe ever seen, or maybe ever heard about. Maybe as we've read our Bibles, maybe done so our entire lives, and yet we've missed this. He's so different than maybe what we heard about in Sunday school. Again, just listen to what we're told about him. Just listen to this one more time. Jesus sat down to eat at Levi's house, along with who? Along with many tax collectors and other notable sinners. There were many people of this kind among Jesus' followers. So get this again, Jesus comes to Levi's house, and what does Levi do? Levi invites over all of his misfit friends who are just like him. Levi doesn't invite his good people friends over. I don't know if you have this. There's those friends who don't drink and they don't party and they don't do crazy things. And then there's that other group of friends who do all the crazy things, like they steal bikes at college campuses. You know what I'm saying? Levi invites those people. Levi invites those people. The friends you hang out with when you want to make really bad decisions. He invites his screw-up friends. He invites the outcasts. He invites the people that churchy people like to talk about. He invites the people that churchy people like to look down on. He invites over all these broken, jacked up people. Not the friends who go to church and don't swear, not the friends who don't party and their kids are homeschooled. Just quick side note, now all of our kids are homeschooled, okay? Which means all of our kids are gonna be socially awkward. And so I'm so sorry to let you know that, and God loves homeschooled kids as well. But seriously, Levi, he invites those friends over to meet who? To meet Jesus. He invites those friends to meet Jesus. And this week, when I sat with this story, I just couldn't stop thinking about this. Levi invited those friends. And as a result of thinking about that, I couldn't stop thinking about how different and how wonderful Jesus is. Like, he's so perfect, and yet he's also the source of love. I mean, I know for myself, when I screw up, the last person that I want to see my screw-ups is some uptight, perfect Christian. When I make a mistake, the last person that I want to hear about it is the uptight, know-it-all Christian. It's like, yeah, I know I screwed up. And I know that I'm not perfect like you, because you never do anything wrong and you're just great at everything. Don't make me feel even worse about how I feel. That's how I feel when I'm around the perfect uptight Christian, and yet that's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite of how Levi feels around Jesus. Like, Levi's just so drawn to him that he just wants to spend time with him. And he just wants to hang out with him. So much so that Levi invites all his tax collector, low-life buddies over to come and meet Jesus as well. And I just picture Levi talking to his friends and just saying, hey guys, you need to come over and meet this guy. Like you just got to meet him. Like he's so different. Like he's legit. Like the stories that you're hearing about him, they're all true. Like I promise you're going to want to hang out with him and you're not going to feel shameful about who you are. Like the other religious people make you feel. He's not going to do that. And yes, he knows about us being tax collectors. He actually, I'll tell you about it later, but he actually met me at my tax booth. He knows about all of our crap. And yet he's actually at my house right now. And he wants to meet all of you too. He wants to meet my friends. He wants to meet you. He wants to meet you. He wants to get to know you. He wants to spend time with you. He wants to meet you too. He does. There's something so different about Jesus. Just to say it, even after following Jesus for 21 years now, this is what still draws me to Jesus myself. He's so different. It's the reason that each day I try in my best to open up my Bible and learn just a little bit more about him, because he's just so different. It's the reason that when I'm in my car driving and singing songs to him, that it almost feels like I can't sing loud enough because he's just so different. It's the reason that after all these years, I just want to spend just a little bit more time with him. I just want to know just a little bit more about him because he's just so different. And the fact that he pursues me blows me away. Like when I'm short with my kids. Anyone been short with their kids in the last 20 days? When I'm short with my kids, he's pursuing me. When I'm in the midst of being a control freak about whatever I'm a control freak about, he's pursuing me. When I'm focused on me, myself, and I don't care about anyone except myself, he's pursuing me. When I screw up and I mess up and I come to him to say I'm sorry, he's the one that's pursuing me. And he doesn't just pursue me, but instead, and also he pursues you too. Not just me, but also you. Where? At your tax booth. Where does he meet you? It's crazy, but he comes over to your house. What does he say? He invites us to come and follow him. It's awesome. There's something so different about Jesus. Before we close today, God is up to something just wonderful right now. And this is true not just at Embrace. I see God doing something so special all across our city, all across our states, our country, our world. God is moving right now in just a wonderful way, transforming people from the inside out. And I just want to introduce you to one of those people. This right here is Hannah. Hannah's a radiology student, and she started coming to Embrace back in August. She was new to town here, and she found out about Embrace because of a coworker invited her. And Hannah shared with me that she grew up in a super religious home, and she believed in God, she believed in Jesus, but that's about it. You know, she grew up religious, but there wasn't any heart there. There wasn't much more than that. And here's what she shared recently online about what she's going through and what she's processing through. She said, the first Sunday I came to Embrace, it was something I'd never experienced before. And the first thing that I heard that day was, we are so glad that you're here. And she just said, me? You're glad that I'm here? I'm no one special. I'm young. I'm all alone. I'm definitely not dressed in my Sunday's best. You want me here? And she went on to say, I was overwhelmed with a sense of belonging, and I just felt genuine love. And as we started singing that first day, I burst into tears, and it's like God wrapped his arms around me. And over the last few weeks, God has allowed me to heal from things that I've been battling for a long, long time. And my journey has just begun, and I can't wait for it to continue. Just so it's clear, when she's talking about the church, she's not talking about us. She's talking about Jesus. Jesus pursues her, and he meets her right where she is. Well, kind of cool, at our last baptism Sunday, a few weeks ago, it feels like a few years ago now, Hannah came forward to be baptized, and check out this video really quick. Awesome, right? Amazing, never gets old. The day that Hannah got baptized, she posted online, "Never have I experienced a joy like this. God loves me and he saves me." In case we missed it, there's something so different about Jesus. Something so different about him. He pursues me, he pursues Hannah, and he pursues you too. This week, the main thing that I want us to take with us, when we wake up and we are in awe of a sunrise, what I want you to know is that God is pursuing you. In the moment that you screw up this week, as you're making the mistake, as you begin to feel shame, in that moment, God is pursuing you. This week, when you're talking with God, maybe when you find yourself consumed with worry of the uncertainty of what might happen, you're paralyzed by fear, know that God is pursuing you. This week when you open up your Bible, maybe for the first time, you're looking for answers when everything seems to be unknown, you just find yourself opening up the Bible, know that God is pursuing you. We have a God who pursues us. He meets us at our tax booth. He comes to our house, and he invites you and he invites me to come and follow him. Let's pray. Gracious Father, Heavenly King, we come before you thankful for who you are. Thankful that you're all present. Thankful that wherever we are, you're meeting us in this place. You're pursuing us even right now. I don't believe it's a coincidence that we've opened up our phone, that we turned on our computer, that we listen to this later in the week on iTunes. It's not a coincidence. Instead, you meet us in this place. You meet us at our lowest moments. You meet us at our house. You come over and you invite us to come and follow you. You just want to get closer and closer and closer and closer to us. And so, God, we invite you in today. We want more of you. Maybe we invite you in for our very first time, God. We surrender to you. We want you to be in our lives. We want you to be the Lord, which means we want you to be the one who calls the shots from this day forward. God, we surrender to you. We love you. We pray all these things in the name of Jesus. All God's people said, amen.